There is a particular kind of strength that does not announce itself. It does not seek applause, it does not demand recognition, and it does not crumble when no one is watching. It is built in silence, maintained in silence, and it speaks loudest through the quality of your choices when no one else is in the room. Most people are waiting for the right moment, the right circumstances, the right version of themselves to arrive before they begin their transformation. But the Stoics understood something that the noise of modern life keeps burying beneath distraction and chaos, that the deepest, most lasting change a human being can undergo is not external. It is not a new city, a new relationship, or a new opportunity. It begins in the interior. It begins when you stop performing for the crowd and start governing yourself. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the field where discipline grows undisturbed, where clarity rises like morning air before the world demands your attention. Right now in this moment, something in you already knows what is weighing you down. You carry invisible burdens, not because you are weak, but because no one ever showed you how to lay them down. That is about to change. There are 6 things you must eliminate from your life, quietly, without announcement, without drama. Let us begin. The first chain is the need for approval, that quiet hunger to be seen, validated, accepted by people who themselves are uncertain, afraid, and unfinished. You have shaped your words around it, softened your convictions because of it, delayed your decisions waiting for someone else's nod. It lives beneath the surface, and it costs you more than you have ever calculated. The second is comparison, that slow, silent poison you drink every time you measure your chapter 3 against someone else's chapter 20. Every time you look outward and forget that the only race worth running is the one happening inside you, against the version of yourself you were yesterday. The third is guilt over the past, the archive of mistakes you return to, not to learn but to punish yourself, as if suffering the memory repeatedly is some form of penance that will balance the scales of a past that no longer exists and cannot be altered by your anguish. The fourth is the desire to control what was never yours to control. Other people's choices, the weather of circumstance, the timing of outcomes, the opinions of strangers, the movement of tides you cannot stop with outstretched hands. You exhaust yourself gripping what will not be held. The fifth is the complaining mentality, the habit of narrating your suffering louder than your efforts, rehearsing what is wrong so consistently that you begin to mistake your complaints for your identity, your grievances for your purpose. And the sixth is impatience, the violent haste that pulls you out of the present moment and into anxious futures that may never arrive, robbing you of the only time you actually have. This breath, this decision, this quiet now. These are the 6 invisible chains. And in silence, you will break them. To dismantle the need for approval, you must first understand what it truly costs. Epictetus, a man who was once enslaved and yet became one of the freest minds in recorded history, taught that we suffer not from the events of our lives, but from our opinions about them. When you need approval, you are handing your opinion of yourself over to someone else and waiting anxiously for them to return it to you intact. The silent exercise here is simple but demanding. Each day, make one decision, small or significant, without consulting anyone, without explaining it, without announcing it. Do it from your own reasoning and let the outcome teach you that you can trust yourself. Feel the quiet strength of that. Let it accumulate. Regarding comparison, Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations, "Words never meant to be seen by anyone but himself, that a man should ask constantly whether the thing before him is necessary, whether it serves his nature and his purpose. When you compare yourself to others, you abandon your nature entirely and attempt to inhabit someone else's. The silent practice is to return to your own journal at the end of each day and ask only this: did I move forward from where I was yesterday? That is the only measurement that belongs to you. And guilt, the guilt over the past. Understand that the past does not exist anywhere except in the architecture of your thoughts. It has no weight unless you carry it forward. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that he could not lose what he never truly had, that the present moment is all that is ever real. The silent internal work here is to separate the lesson from the lash. Extract what the past can teach you, then release it. You are not your worst moment. You are what you choose next. The desire to control the uncontrollable is perhaps the most exhausting burden a human being can carry. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and much of what we try to control exists only in the imagination of our anxiety. The behavioral practice here is the dichotomy of control, a Stoic cornerstone. Each morning, take one sheet of paper, draw a simple line down the center, and on one side write what is within your power today: your attention, your effort, your response, your character. On the other side, write what is not: the outcome, the timing, the behavior of others, the judgment of the world. Then fold that second half away. Work only from the first. You will feel something shift. As for the complaining mentality, the antidote is not forced positivity, it is accurate witnessing. When you hear yourself complaining, pause. This pause is not passive. It is surgical. Ask yourself whether this complaint is moving you toward a solution or simply rehearsing a wound. Journaling is powerful here. Write down the complaint fully, completely, without restraint. Then beneath it, write one action that is within your power. One, not a list, one, and move toward it. Impatience, the final chain, is perhaps the subtlest form of arrogance, the belief that the universe owes you speed, that your timeline is the correct one, that waiting is wasted. Marcus Aurelius practiced the reframe constantly. Everything that happens arrives at the right moment, if you meet it with the right disposition. Begin training yourself to find presence inside the pause. When you feel the burn of impatience rising, breathe into it, name it silently, and ask what this moment is asking you to notice. The answer is almost always something worth staying for. Now lift yourself above all of it for a moment. Rise above the city you live in, above the conversations that unsettle you, above the opinions that once felt like verdicts, above the comparisons and the clocks and the need to be anywhere other than exactly here. From this height, notice how small the noise becomes. Notice how the things that seemed urgent hours ago are barely visible now. This is what the Stoics called the view from above, not a technique for detachment, but a practice for perspective, a way of reminding the self that the ego is a small room in a vast and ancient house. You are not the approval you receive. You are not the timeline you expected. You are not your regrets, your comparisons, your complaints, your clenched and anxious grip on outcomes. You are the awareness beneath all of it, the quiet center that was never actually disturbed, only temporarily convinced that it was. The philosopher does not eliminate emotion. He learns to observe it without being consumed by it. And this is what silence offers you. Not absence, not numbness, but spaciousness, the interior room where you are sovereign, where no one else's noise defines your worth, and where transformation does not announce itself, because it does not need to. Every elimination you practice from this day forward is an act of reclamation. You are reclaiming your attention, your peace, your identity, your time. And it happens quietly, not in a declaration to the world, but in the steady, daily, unremarkable miracle of choosing differently than you did before. You have now seen the six: the hunger for approval that borrows your identity, the comparison that abandons your path, the guilt that punishes without healing, the grip on the uncontrollable that drains your power, the complaint that rehearses suffering, and the impatience that steals your present. Silence is not the absence of strength. It is where strength is stored, compressed, refined, ready. You do not need to announce this work to anyone. You do not need permission to become more deliberate, more grounded, more free. What you need is the willingness to begin and the discipline to continue without applause. If this has moved something in you, leave one word in the comments below. Just one word that describes who you are choosing to become. And if you are ready to go deeper into the philosophy that has guided some of the greatest minds in human history, subscribe. More is coming. And so are you.